The reason that he's doing it is not to prove the moon landing occurred. That's an incidental discovery, courtesy of the fact that we did go to the moon. He's actually trying to test gravity.
Right. And I think that this is obviously this goes well beyond just science. This is kind of in life when we look at people with opinions and, you know, I guess like pure consensus that people come to. But it's like you could have scenarios where 99.9% of the time, the explanation is the simpler explanation. And then the 0.1% of the time, it's actually not. And you could prove it. The problem becomes the people who protect, quote unquote, the 99.9% of the time, then every time you bring up one example, we'll be like, well, this is definitely in that. And
Right.
they never have the example where they're like, yo, this might be in the 0.1%. And I think this is where, like, you know, I actually really enjoyed listening to Terrence Howard. Obviously, a lot of it was a leap upon a leap upon a leap upon a leap. And I think most of what he says is very disprovable. But what I can appreciate about a guy like that is that maybe he went too far with it. But if you push the boundaries of saying, well, science is about, for example, like science itself is about asking questions. So let's ask these questions and let's try to relitigate some things in the past just to see if we got it all the way right. I think that could, or wrong, that could be a positive impact in a space
Could
like
be,
this.
but you have to look at the preponderance of something, right? And so there's nothing that's entirely 100% good or bad. Religion, it's not
Right.
entirely good or bad. A democracy, not entirely good or bad. We can go on down the list. Relitigating stuff for the sake of relitigating stuff without a purpose, say the moon landing, and this guy Bart Sibrel, you know him well, right? So having, you know, people that really truly believe that the moon landing did not happen. Okay, so that's a claim. That's a science-based claim. So you could bring up Bart Sibrel. I did a video about Bart Sibrel and how.
Did you ever have him on?
He won't debate. It's weird. I thought, didn't you have him on?
No.
You didn't. Somebody
Danny
had him.
had
Oh,
him
Danny, yeah, your buddy Danny had him. Yeah. Who I thank you for introducing me to Danny. So Danny had him on. They mentioned me and
Danny
then
Jones, we're talking about.
Danny Jones. And so Bart told me something which I didn't know, because after he was on Joe Rogan's show, I wrote to Joe Rogan. I was like, Joe, hey, you remember I gave you this moon rock? Not only did I give him a meteorite, sorry, Julian, sorry, Joe, but I gave him a moon rock, and I actually gave him a Mars rock, because I was like, holy crap.
I gave him a Mars rock?
Well,
Get the fuck out, Brian.
Okay, fine. See you guys. When you hit 1 million on this episode, I will bring you a Mars rock as a birthday present. I brought you a magic crystal, and we were going to talk about the magic crystal, and we're going to talk about that.
All right, I'll take the crystal.
The crystal comes with me. But the point is, Bart claims this for some. Let's just say the moon landing didn't happen. Okay, whatever. But what's the reason for the conspiracy? Oh, I should close the loop. So he told, so I told Joe, what the hell's going on? I told you all this stuff about the moon landing. I even brought you a moon rock. You know, what happened? I hope, you know, nobody smoked it or whatever, but like where's the moon rock? You can see, because Bart was saying, oh, the moon is, in the pictures doesn't look white like it should. If it was truly there and not a camera artifact, it would look, and I said, the moon rock I gave you actually looks pinkish orange, and you can just take it out if you still have it, Joe. And you can prove to yourself that no, the moon isn't pure white. It's not like a piece of pure white, ivory snow. It is, in fact, has all these different colors because it's made of multiple different materials, Joe.
Yeah.
And we know that because the materials they brought back are the same as the moon rock materials and that I gave to him in terms of chemical composition, the same as the spectroscopic images. And we know the distance to the moon exquisitely accurately because the moon landing astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, put down these retro-reflecting little reflectors on the moon's surface that bounce light back with a precise property that one of my colleagues and neighbors at UCSD, he's retired now, Tom Murphy, measures the distance to the moon to within 1 millimeter every single second that he's doing these measurements with 10 to the 14th photons per second in a burst. The reason that he's doing it is not to prove the moon landing occurred. That's an incidental discovery, courtesy of the fact that we did go to the moon. He's actually trying to test gravity. Theories of gravity that have different modifications at long and short distances that could be a sign of quantum gravity. So in other words, he's doing something totally different. Oh, he happened to confirm that the moon landing happened. That wasn't the main goal of what he was doing and is doing in his research. Likewise, other people have done other types of experiments with seismology of asteroids and moons and things like that to see if moons have quakes. What is the moon's core like? They have all sorts of instruments that were left, claimed to be left by the NASA astronauts, can be seen from photographs of the moon's surface by our enemies like the Russians, and scientists that would like nothing better than to prove that, hey, actually, wait, something is a big conspiracy and a fraud. You've got to remember, Scientists want to prove conspiracies, of nature wrong all the time. That's what we want to do. We want to uncover quantum gravity. We want to understand the Big Bang. We want to understand if life exists outside the Earth.
If the
all these
universe is
things.
inflationary.
If the universe is inflationary, if there are multiple universes, we are obsessed with disproving the narrative. And remember what Feynman said. Feynman said, science is the belief in the ignorance of experts, but not the malevolence of experts. In other words, we say that we go to the moon not to say how great we are and give us more money. And that's what people like Bart Sibrel will claim. They'll claim NASA's an evil organization. He actually got punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin.
It's a funny video.
Yeah, it's a funny video. And none of these reasons, I told Joe I'm happy to come on and debate him. Apparently, Joe did get in touch with him, according to the interview he did with Danny. They talk getting in, and he's like, well, I don't want to talk to anyone besides the scientist. Like, I feel bad about the scientist, because they're getting tricked by big NASA. And I'm like, well, I'm a scientist. I'm happy to debate you. But, I didn't want to just have him on my show. And I don't think that really does me any, great.
Why not?
If I want to have on, I've had on 21 Nobel Prize winners. Next week will be 22. If you were to see a channel and you've been to Stockholm, you've actually won the Nobel Prize, unlike Brian Keating, you go there. You have this, sort of scientific credibility and legitimacy to want to maintain. If you go on a show and it's Billy Carson and Terrence Howard and Bart Sibrel, and then every now and then it's Eric Weinstein or Michio Kaku, or and then you're like, well, what is this guy? Like, what is he doing? Like, does he do Nobel Prize winning, or is he out for clicks? And so, I'm considering talking with Terrence, because we've been approached, both of us been approached by Patrick Bet-David and by Piers Morgan and their people. But, the reason I'd want to do something with Terrence is because I have an actual laboratory that he could come. We both live in Southern California. He claims he has a laboratory, and he'd love to show me his stuff, show me his the linchpin, this incredible copter that assembles itself in midair that has these weird geometric properties. And he does have patents and so forth that I'd like to kind of, because you can get a patent tomorrow. I always say, like, a patent is not necessarily proof of genius. Like, there are things you can't get patented if you attempt to violate the laws of physics. Second law of thermodynamics, or famously people try to get perpetual motion machines patented. So, but more than that, I mean, if I say, look, here's this magic crystal, which we're going to talk about, and here's a meteorite, and I say, well, you can't patent the meteorite because it's a naturally occurring phenomenon. You can't patent the crystal because it's naturally occurring. But if you somehow embedded this in here and claim that it vibrates a certain frequency, which it does, and those frequencies, on your chakras here, and I hope you don't clip this, so like physicist says the chakra, I don't even know what a chakra is, to be honest with you. But the point being, you can patent that.
Yeah.
Because you can patent combination. You can't patent a pencil lead, and you can't patent an eraser, but you put the eraser on top of the pencil. I have 2 patents. That's what I heard. I never made a penny off any of them. So the fact that Terrence has patents is not dispositive that he's right or wrong. Doesn't really mean that much. We have to investigate. What do they actually do? How have they been used? Have they been applied? Has anyone commercialized them? Because the market is a damn good, capitalism always wins at some level, despite what the future mayor of the city across the
That's a sore subject.
across the river here might say. Capitalism always wins. So in the end, the marketplace told me that my 2 patents, which I thought were really cool, sophisticated things I invented at Caltech and UCSD, no, nobody wanted it. Nobody commercialized it. They sit there. They'll probably never be used. That's okay. You take certain swings and you miss on most of them. But the thing I'm trying to get across is having on a claim about something scientific, that's fine. But if your motive is to discredit NASA and discredit the one organization that can conclusively makes life better for every single person that ever gets on an airplane. I told you I almost worked for NASA after graduation.
Yeah.
Was offered a job at NASA after working at NASA for a summer between my junior and senior summers in college at NASA Langley Research Center, which is where they used to train, when they landed on the moon, they had to practice in like 0G, but they couldn't get 0G, almost 0G or 1/3 G on Earth, right? So they built this enormous contraption at NASA Langley, and I got to see it. And it was like bungee cords, and it was a real Eagle lunar lander like object, and it was flying, and it could almost simulate the low amount of gravity, but it also had these retro rockets. It was one of the coolest things I ever saw. Neil Armstrong actually had to abort and eject from it, almost died before the moon launch attempt was made in 1967. Anyway, that's where I was working, and I was working on the following problem. When you get on an airplane, every single plane you've flown on has on average about 22,000 hours of flight time. Okay, let that sink in for a second. You're stepping on a thing that's older than you, by far is older than you. I mean, most of these, except for the brand new ones, which have their own problems, right?
Made
but
a few
even
documentaries on those.
planes have to fly about 95% of the time. You drive your car about 5% of its lifetime if you have a car. Planes are exactly the opposite. They have to fly to make money. So that means almost every hour of the day they're flying 55 minutes or whatever of every hour of every day of every year of every since they were built. Okay, say 20,000 hours on it. That means they've probably had about 10,000 pressurization cycles if the average flight time is about 2 hours. So they've cycled the pressure to 10,000 times over that 20, 30, 40-year period that they've been in service.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.